Hey, Jared, before you continue, you're getting super crackly.
Yeah,
I hear that.
I hear the crackling too.
Jared,
There's something weird crackling all over. There's something that keeps popping.
I only hear it when you're talking.
It's stupid because I hear it when everybody else.
Indiana Jones, Indiana Jones, Indiana It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones, Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where we throw the drivers of the boats of our lives into an adjacent seat 1 minute at a time. And I wonder who the boat drivers are in Jerry's life sometimes. I'm Pete Mummy.
I'm not sure there are any boat drivers in Jerry's life. I'm Tom Taylor.
I can tell you I'm in the passenger seat. That's official. I'm Joe Christopher Truant Porter.
And today, 2 podcast guests enter, 2 podcast guests leave because we're kind of nice here.
Oh.
But we're happy to welcome Rick and Julia from the Mad Max Minute podcast. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hello.
Hey, fellas. What's a boat?
Oh, see, back in Tomorrow-Land when
Rick,
there was
it's
water.
kind of a car without wheels.
Okay.
It's like a gyrocopter for the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm not used to seeing this much water.
I was comforted by the explosion, though.
Oh, sure.
Good.
That's familiar.
Good. Yeah. Make you feel at home. That's why we had you on. And for those of you at home, we're talking about minute 39. Minute 39 begins with Elsa going between them, and it ends with Kazim preparing to ram Elsa in Indy's boat, or water car.
Yeah, minute 38 basically ended with their little don't go between them, and you said no, she said, you go between them. Are you crazy? And then she immediately goes between them, like she thought he was nuts for saying to go between them. And this minute begins with her going between them, and she just thinking, oh, Dr. Jones, he knows what he's doing. Doesn't make any sense to me, but I'll trust him. I'm just wondering why she actually goes between them, because it would make a lot of sense not to.
Was it just how angrily he yelled it at her?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's like a spite thing. She's like, oh, yeah, I'll show you.
I'm going to kill us
I'll go
both.
between them,
Yeah.
dummy. Yeah, I'll show you.
So Harrison Ford always gets what he wants because he's really good at yelling at people.
Yeah.
He
And
is really
pointing.
good.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wouldn't
He
want to
didn't
get
point
yelled
in this instance because he was busy punching, though.
at. That's true. Yeah.
It just goes to show the amount of social leverage you can get with people if you show a little bit of quick thinking inside of a burning catacomb.
It's true. Right. Yeah, she'll follow him anywhere now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed in Elsa. She is a strong, independent woman who has proven that she can forge her own path and do her own thing. And she's going in between the boats just because Han Solo told her to.
Right.
I'm disappointed.
You know what? I'm starting to think she's a one-trick pony, and it's just 4th, 5th century pagan symbol.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
And that's it. Yeah. Like, I think that's her card, and that's it.
Well, I like Tom's theory, like that she's just doing it despite Indy. Like, she's like, you want to go between them? All right.
She is very tough. I mean, like, we just saw her get shot at, and she barely blinked. Like, we actually think that she did get shot in the back, and that she just shrugged it off.
Wow.
And, and she, like, back at the library, she immediately, like, dove into the floor, even though it was all gross and was going to mess up her suit and everything. Like, she can go toe-to-toe with Indy. So, yeah, I kind of like the idea that she's saying, all right, you jerk, I'm going to go between them. We'll probably get killed. See how you like it.
Well, maybe this is one of those, like, you want to go between them? Fine.
Right.
Let's go between them together.
Yeah.
I've got nothing better to
I
do.
lost my blue jacket.
So what she's going between, these are 2 kind of interesting ships, and you can tell they're actually filming this in the UK. The one on the left, the big one, is the John W. Wackay, and it was built in 1922 to lay transatlantic cable. So
Wow.
It's just a giant, and it was put into dry dock and scrapped right after they made the movie. But then the one on the right is, it's named the Tiber in the movie, but it's actually the HMS Chrysanthemum. And it was a Royal Navy sloop built in 1917, and it was used mainly for towing targets. But in a nice tie-in to Raiders, it was based in Malta for several years. during the 1930s.
I was gonna say, I hope it wasn't like originally a battleship or like one of the U.S. It was the Chrysanthemum.
Yeah, the HMS Chrysanthemum.
You know,
Who's gonna fire on a chrysanthemum?
Yeah, and a name that strikes fear.
right.
into
It
everybody.
shoots out like beautiful floral scents. Anytime.
Yeah.
Well, they gave it the big long name like chrysanthemum to prevent enemy targets from shooting at it. Because what commander is going to be able to, in the heat of the moment, stand on the bridge and say, "Fire on the chrysanthemum"?
Right.
He's going to stumble over his
gonna flub
words.
it.
That's true.
Or send like a Morse code message about the chrysanthemum. We found the. Oh my God! Is it a C and an H and a? Oh my God!
Well, see, I'm glad you picked this up, Pete, because I couldn't tell if the boat was the Mackey or it's the John Mackay or the Wackay. Totally Wackay, but he was it's a bad name to grow up with, but he was John Mackay was. Damn it! How do you pronounce it?
I don't know.
Is it Mackay? How'd you say it? Because whatever it is, it's probably
I
right.
said Mackay, so I don't know.
Why isn't it?
It's McKay.
Okay,
it's
so I'm
McKay,
fine.
Yeah.
John
No,
Yeah,
it's-
Oh, it might be
McKay.
McKay. Yeah.
MACKAY.
What are you
Why
doing,
is that
Pete?
so
You got me off on the wrong. Yeah, McKay. He was an Irish-American industrialist. And he was actually one of the Bonanza Kings.
Oh, really?
What does that mean?
Yeah, he was one of the.
Was the guy from Battlestar Galactica?
Yes, exactly. No. There was Joe. Big. Wasn't there little Joe? There was Hoss.
Big Ed, Michael Landon, and that's it.
No, he was somehow involved in the Comstock load and California gold rush. And he made a whole bunch of money. So I guess that's I don't know. I guess he bought a big boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least had one
Yeah.
named after him. Yeah.
But the music here is very non-indie. Did you notice this? When they actually are going between the boats, it's very kind of stabby a little bit. And I listened to it several times.
I know it's a proto version almost of Duel of the Fates,
Really?
which I think,
weird.
as all good-minded people will admit, Tom,
What?
is a beautiful, beautiful piece of music.
I don't like it.
Duel of Fates.
I know.
Big fat idiot. Big fat idiot.
You mix Duel of Fates with a little Anton Karas on the zither, and that's what you get.
That's what you get. I just had it as Splitting Freighters Mischief.
Well, the secret to Duel of the Fates is you've got to watch the video that they posted on YouTube where they had the lyrics to Duel of the Fates. That's where it
really?
gets really entertaining.
Wow.
Wow.
It's all nonsense, but it's great.
Yeah.
Well, isn't most of YouTube nonsense?
Yeah, I'd
Right.
say so.
It's nonsense and Star Wars nonsense. Those are the two kinds of
Yeah, and cat nonsense.
yeah, and cat nonsense.
The cat stuff is serious.
Yeah, that's true. The
Yes,
cat
that's
stuff-
not nonsense. Yeah, that's called I need to forget my day. So I'm gonna. I can either drink,
Cheaper than
take
alcohol.
drugs, or watch the cat videos.
And it's always there.
Why does the tugboat run into the Tiber boat? I mean, isn't there supposed to be a tug minder, or somebody to prevent mishaps, or is that the way that these freighters parallel park?
That's a great question.
It is, yeah. Like, why is it intentionally shoving it over to this other dude's boat?
But the way they show it in the movie, it's like, oh no, the tugboat ran into the Tiber.
Oh, I don't know. I think it looks like
It looks intentional, but I don't know why it would be
like the
pushing
boat's just going about its job.
the Tiber direct, unless these are both going to be scrapped immediately.
Maybe there's something about parking boats that we just don't understand.
Well, I mean, like I said at the top of the thing, I'm not familiar with boats, but Julia, you grew up near like a port type area, so you've seen tugboats before.
Well, yeah, but I've never seen a tugboat push another boat
But I'd like
into a boat.
But this is how you maneuver ships in a harbor situation because they don't have the maneuverability; they're just too big.
Right, yeah, the tugboat is supposed to be pushing the first
Yeah.
boat.
Yeah, they do more than tug; they
Tiber.
also
Pull.
push.
Pull. Yeah.
Yeah. It could be a shove boat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
The only thing I can think of is that, yeah, they're both up for scrap, so they're just trying to condense and save space, because space in a port is precious. So that's the only thing I can think of.
I mean,
Why they would be pushing two big boats together.
when you get down
Like
to it,
that.
tugboats are just the valets of the harbor world.
Right.
So it's a tugboat or a shove boat. It's what we have here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think a tugboat person would take umbrage with that statement.
Yeah.
I've seen enough tugboats to know like how hard they work.
Oh yeah.
And they
Yeah.
are the powerhouse of boats.
Yeah.
Do you think the longshoremen they get out and when they want to talk smack to each other they tell another guy to like shove it and then it'll be like that's what I'm gonna do
Yeah.
because I'm a tugboat.
Better than saying tug it. I mean, either way,
On your own
either
time,
way, that
sailor.
would be the that would. I mean, that's what's nice. You got a little little port repartee.
Hey, does anybody get a strong Empire Strikes Back asteroid chase vibe when these boats are getting the bad guy boat is getting smushed by the big boats? That the Millennium Falcon's flying through the things, and those two TIE fighters hit each other because it's too narrow in there, and they bounce off the walls and blow up.
Yeah.
That's kind of how and even in this shot, like as those guys are about to blow up, there's like a distinct like TIE fightery sound, which I guess is like the boat scraping or something.
Yeah, it's like a metallic like. Pew.
Yeah, but even
Yeah,
after
yeah,
the
yeah.
screeching, there's kind of like a whoosh or something like that. Very
Yeah.
Star Wars esque.
Yeah.
And then after it happens, the blackened hulk of the runabout that comes flying out, it looks a lot like the shot in Return of the Jedi, like when one of the skiffs or part of the sail barge comes flying towards the screen. Like it reminded me a lot of that.
That's funny. You know what I love about that shot? That shot's real. They actually blew up a boat and shot it at the camera between two big boats on the water.
The best explosions are done for real.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched the scene. I'm like, gosh, that looks great. How'd they do that? Is it miniatures? It doesn't look all fakey blue screeny. And then I looked it up and like, oh my god, they just did it.
That's amazing.
Good for them.
It's actually second 32, and if you guys were to look, we have seen this before. We have an off-the-cliff Gobler.
Oh, you're right.
If you cover your eyes, it's not so bad.
I was wondering about that. Are these guys souls not prepared?
No, I don't think they are.
I don't know. I think
prepared.
they are actually.
No.
Why wouldn't they be?
Because they cover their eyes.
Well, they still don't want to see themselves get hurt. I don't know. It's a natural human response, I would think. I don't know.
See themselves get hurt.
Yes, they don't want to see their knees get busted like in the last instant before they go.
Well, I was thinking about this. Imagine the obituary for the driver. Last Tuesday, Harvey, while protecting eternal life, entered into eternal life. Although unexpected, his pain was lessened because he covered his eyes.
Well, I think you can be spiritually prepared for death and still not openly greet an explosive crushed between two ships type of death.
Yeah.
I think that
I agree
people
completely.
aren't necessarily afraid to die. They're afraid of not dying fast enough.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm prepared to go to the other side, but it's going to hurt for like, I don't know, a second. It's going to kill.
It's one thing to
Literally.
get diced up in a giant prop propeller. It's another thing to
Yeah.
be slowly crushed between two ships.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing I was wondering is it possible these guys have all had a drink from the Holy Grail at some point, and so they know that they're going to live through it. They're just going to be in a lot of pain for a long time.
Oh,
One thing's for sure, they're
that's
going to be a lot
horrible.
thinner.
Yeah.
Maybe they have like a little tiny flask or like a shot glass full of Grail water.
Like instead of a cyanide suicide pill, it's filled
Yeah,
with
and
holy water.
it's like it's like an anti-suicide or anti-homicide. So they just maybe that's what they're doing. They're just throwing it back real quick right before the boat explodes.
That's a terrible idea.
Well, are they trying to kill Indy and Elsa?
Everybody's shooting at them and
Yeah, I would
everything.
say
It
yes.
seems like they
Yeah.
are. And they also they set fire to that entire catacombs trying to get them.
That's true. Yeah.
So yes, they are trying to kill them.
It's very, very confusing. I mean, because they're bad men.
Are they?
Well, they got a job to do.
Somebody. Well, that's what I'm saying. Correct. Is this a correct statement? These guys are bad men, or I mean, is this like if you're trying to kill Indiana Jones? Is it a foregone conclusion that you're a bad man, bad person?
I wouldn't say that you're action of trying to kill Indiana Jones immediately puts you on the side of evil. I think there's just a misunderstanding happening here. You know, they see Indiana Jones walking around with Dr. Snyder, and maybe the Brotherhood of the Cruciform Sword, maybe their fezzes are on too tight. Maybe they know that Snyder has allegiances that are not necessarily noble. And so they might think, well, if she's allied with the people she's allied with, and Dr. Jones shows up out of nowhere, put 2 and 2 together, gotta stop these bad people.
I mean, their whole thing is to protect the Grail, and it's secret. Like, they don't want anybody to be on the trail. I keep saying the Trail of the Grail, and it sounds like I made it up for the first time. Yes, I mean, it does seem weird. Like, they're protecting the cup of Christ. That's a very noble thing. Oh, wait a minute. Would Jesus be down with this? How would Jesus protect the Grail? Would he be shooting at people and trying to blow them up in boats? And I don't know.
I feel like he would approve of bashing Brody across the back of the head with the butt of a gun. Probably wouldn't approve of the whole shooting across the harbor thing.
No.
Right. I think hitting Brody is probably the worst part. Blow up Indiana Jones. He asked for it. But,
well, they may know that Indiana Jones is just out to loot the Grail anyway, so they may not be wrong in their quest.
Well, it's kind of strange. I mean, they know Indiana Jones. Once again, is he famous? Or are they just like, some guy shows up with, we're trailing Elsa because she's putting her nose in the wrong place here, and this other guy showed up. Or are they like, no, we've got a missive that Dr. Jones, the eminent Dr. Jones, is on his way, so we're gonna have to kill him?
Well, what do they know about this other guy? Is they've seen him destroy a beautiful ancient marble floor. They've seen bones that have been like ripped apart and lit on fire.
He befuddled a librarian.
And they probably hear the sounds of him defiling the knight's casket. So they're probably thinking, they probably realize, this guy's not really doing a lot of good stuff here.
Well, Pete, I thought, you always contend that just because you're trying to kill Indiana Jones, that has nothing to do with you being a bad person. That you can...
Right. So I'm saying that I think they're good guys.
Yeah. You think they're all good guys. Yeah. All the bad guys are good guys.
Not the Nazis.
Yeah. It's weird though. I'm just not to skip ahead, but I'm trying to remember. Like, I think there's no like introduction between Indiana Jones and Kasim later on. Is that it? Kasim,
yeah.
Or Kasim.
Wackay.
Indy just says, like, I'm looking for my father. He's like, I know your father's being held. Like, he knows that Indy is the son of Henry Jones, it seems like. So, like, it's not just like some random dude following Elsa Snyder.
Yeah, that's true.
It's, he might know, like, maybe he doesn't, the Indiana Jones? He might just know, like, this is the guy who's connected to the guy who was investigating the Grail for the Nazis or something.
Yeah.
Well, all these guys always know Indiana Jones, but he doesn't seem to know any of them. Like if you're talking about Chatterlal or Kazim or
whatever.
Yeah. When Kazim starts shooting the machine gun and Indy shoves Elsa's head down, all I could think of was Short Round. No time for love, Dr. Jones.
No time for love. I had the same exact thought.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And disgusting. Go between them. Are you crazy?
Go between
them. Yeah, he gets really mad at her.
Yeah, she holds on to that German accent really well when she's yelling at him.
Oh yeah, she does.
You said go between them.
Yeah.
Which can't be hard. If you're faking an accent, I would think that'd be hard.
Is Elsa a bookworm or a fieldworm? Because she doesn't know how to duck when being shot at.
She doesn't bother. Maybe that means she's like the ultimate fieldworm. Because where did we get fieldworm, by the way?
Jerry.
You don't even listen to our minutes.
Let's say it's crawled out of the mine trolley.
No, a fieldworm was. It was when they originally go into Indy's dad's house. He's like, he's not a bookworm. Right. He's a fieldworm. He says the opposite. He says he's a bookworm. Dad's a bookworm, not a fieldworm.
But I would still posit that most fieldworms don't get shot at on a regular basis. I mean, if you're a looting worm, you get shot at on a regular basis.
Yeah. See, I assume in this world, like a fieldworm is a looting worm.
Well, let's ask our guests. I mean, you guys, I mean, I feel dumb because I bring this up every single minute, or every single minute that Elsa's on the screen. What is your guys' take on Elsa as a character, and where does she rank for you guys amongst the women of Indiana Jones?
So you're asking us our opinion on Allison Duty?
Sure.
You just wanted to say duty.
I just wanted to say it.
Duty!
I've said it once. I'm satisfied now.
That's the only reason for my question. I just wanted to hear you say it. Thank you.
Well, the thing about Dr. Schneider is that, yeah, she's allied herself with some really shady characters. I mean, it doesn't get much worse than being a Nazi stooge. But at the same time, it's not like she's walking around wearing a swastika. You know, we're not having a producer's moment where take your hat, your coat, and your swastikas type of thing. And you get the sense that she actually is in it for the discovery of it all. But I mean, if you go and look at the 4 movies, she's better than Kate Capshaw, but she's nowhere near as good as Marion.
Yeah. I agree. It seems like we talk about like, hey, she's so cool, she doesn't even duck when she gets shot at. You know, she jumps into the catacombs before even Indy does, and she just, there's a lot of like cool stuff about her.
Yeah, but Marion would have had her own gun.
That's true. She would have clobbered somebody and taken their gun, yeah.
Julia, what did you think?
I think she is in it for the discovery and for the research, but there's something in there in the way she looks when she's got the power of Germany and the Nazis behind her. She enjoys it. She enjoys having that much power and exercising it. So it's a little column A, a little column B. But I think she does rank in between. Oh, I'm rubbish with names. You know, the first ditzy blonde and then the second not ditzy brunette.
Yeah, that's about what I'm starting to understand. That she just, she's totally solid, but maybe it is because she's a Nazi stooge, or I don't know. Yeah. There's just something that doesn't make her quite stick out as much. But I still think she's cool. Minute by minute, she's really cool.
She almost has like a quiet tragedy to her character, you know? Because in the end, Elsa just doesn't let it go.
Is that what happens?
Yeah. You know,
I haven't finished the movie.
For crying out loud, Ray.
Yeah, don't spoil it for Jerry.
That changes everything. Yeah.
She gets a golden ticket at the end.
I couldn't hold it back anymore. All right, we'll turn away and close that door.
Pete, you love that Kazim's driver is just daydreaming.
Oh my god, that's
It's like staring at the starboard. Yeah.
Kazim throws him into the back seat the same way that Indy shoves Elsa aside, and then he just sits in the back seat, like relaxes and buttons his jacket. He's like, it's a nice day.
I love it. He has no idea that they're on a chase.
No, he's enjoying the moment. Yeah.
Hey, look, boats. Yeah.
It's on a harbor tour.
There's a seagull.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you know what's kind of cool that I just noticed? When Kazim is shooting at them, like standing up on the boat and shooting at them, there's actually a lot of like squibs like in the water and on the boat, and Indy's boat, which they didn't have to do. Like you wouldn't like miss that necessarily if it wasn't there, but it looks really cool. It's like kind of satisfying. Like, oh my, he's shooting at him and there's bullets impacting with things. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. The machine gun that Kazim is using is a Hennel Schmeisser MP-28, which was originally made in Germany, but it was outlawed by the Versailles Treaty. So they started making them in Belgium and Switzerland. So I think it's an appropriate gun for someone in like Kazim would have bought.
Oh,
like
nice.
A neutral guy like Kazim would have bought the gun in Switzerland or Belgium.
Oh, whatever protects the Grail, right?
Yeah.
We wondered about this whole thing. Like these guys are introduced as bad guys, right? And they're destroying everything at every turn. And then we'll see, I guess, next minute. It's a lot of mayhem and bedlam and death and carnage. I don't know. Kazim's a very interesting character. See what happens.
Yeah.
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 He's got an amazing mustache.
He really does.
Yeah.
So.
If he had survived this movie, sorry, Jer. If he had survived this movie, he would have. You would have found out in the next one. That he had,
I thought that does
weapons
Kazim
in there
die?
and stuff, and lock picks.
It's just
and things.
so full and dark and thick and just amazing.
Yeah. What if Tom Selleck had been Indiana Jones and you would have those dueling mustaches?
God.
Would have been awesome.
Excuse me.
Okay, hey, wait. Speaking of Tom Selleck, well, not really Tom Selleck, but I have a really good sleepover question. Rick and Julia, would you rather see Harrison Ford as Mad Max or Mel Gibson as Indiana Jones?
Oh.
Huh.
You have 20 minutes to answer.
I think I would rather see a Mad Max era Mel Gibson be Indiana Jones.
wow.
Like a younger Mel
Interesting.
Gibson.
Yeah.
Although I
Yeah.
do think that Mel Gibson has aged better than Harrison Ford. So I think if they were
curious.
to make an Indiana Jones movie today
Like-
with the older men, I think Mel Gibson has aged better.
Now you're talking visually.
Oh,
What if you had to weigh their souls against a feather?
Yeah.
I don't know. They both seem like crotchety old men.
Yeah, but one's like a
So-
raving rapist. Or
Ragingly crotchety.
raving racist.
Well, yes, the other one's just cranky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, if you put that era Mel Gibson up with, I just couldn't imagine Harrison Ford in the Mad Max role.
Yeah.
Just because
I don't think I can either.
Max is not meant to be charming, and Harrison Ford is almost too naturally charming to be Max.
Yeah.
Max is a loner. He is a dude that doesn't want to be around people. Harrison Ford just has that natural charisma that when he steals a flower off the street and asks a beautiful woman if he may be permitted to place a flower in her jacket, she obliges him because it's Harrison Ford. I mean,
Right.
Mel Gibson in his time was seen as a pretty boy. But since we're talking about Max specifically, like Max is not that gentleman type. Max would have Donovan come up and be like, "Hey, I want you to find the Grail," and Max would be like, "No," and walk away. Max would make a terrible Indiana Jones, and Indiana Jones would make a terrible Max. It's a hard answer to give.
Yeah, I'm sorry I brought it up. But no, it's actually interesting, yeah.
What if you had to choose Tom Selleck for one of the two roles?
I'd put Tom Selleck and Indiana Jones in a heartbeat.
Ugh.
Yeah, me too.
See, I could see. I mean, I would take a Mel Gibson in an Indiana Jones movie. I mean, if I had to.
Yeah, I think I would too.
Because Mad Max he's dirty and he's scrappy and he's dusty and he eats dog food.
Yeah.
And like I could see that translating into the grave robber, less so the Professor Jones, but the grave robber guy, you're like, yeah, at least he's dusty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like if you put Mad Max into an Indiana Jones film, you'd have to set it up where he is in a situation and then he becomes trapped somehow and he has to work his way out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's, you'd have to start off the movie going back to Temple of Doom for an example. You would have to start his movie on the plane where the pilots bail out. And then go from there. You could never have that opening scene in the nightclub with the gangsters and whatnot, because Max wouldn't have that.
He wouldn't even know Willie and Short Round. They would just be in the plane with them, and then all of a sudden he has to save them. He has to be their hero.
Yeah, he's always the put upon one that has to save everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
What, Jer?
Oh, hey.
Oh my God.
This just in from Professor Christy Porter. Coming over the wires. What scene is this minute reminiscent of in other Indiana Jones movies? Bonus point if your answer is from the Temple of Doom.
Wow.
Oh, is this the river rapids in the life raft?
Oh, maybe.
I haven't the faintest idea.
Did she telegraph an answer?
Yes, actually,
This is the mine
she
cart?
doesn't know.
Telegraph her back about Mel Gibson and Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Well, she did actually say, I just got it. She did actually say closer. Closer? But that's not an Indiana Jones movie. So that's interesting.
no, but that's what I was
that's
saying.
what you said. Yeah, that's why I brought it up, and I think
and
why
your
she brought
sister.
it up. Yeah. Sitting in an asteroid field. KISSING already.
Yep.
Well, on that note, anybody have anything else for minute 39?
How fast do you think these boats are going? Just ballparking it. Because
Do we have to give our answer in knots?
Yes.
I didn't calculate any of my stuff in knots. I ended up doing some math because I'm looking at these speedboats, and obviously they're trying to go as fast as they can, and we've got some very concrete markers that we can work from. For instance, we know that the John W. Wackay is 361 feet 8 inches long, and it takes 17 seconds for Indiana Elsa to run the entire
nice.
length of that ship.
Wow.
So I crunched some numbers, and they are moving pretty much 21.25 feet per second. But since feet per second is probably about as bizarre of a measurement you can do, it comes out to about 14.5 miles per hour, or 23 1/3 kilometers per hour for the international listeners. And it seems rather slow, because you've got that one guy that gets punched off the boat and he goes into the wake and then he just disappeared. And I'm like, oh man, did he kill that guy?
Yeah.
And going 15 miles an hour, no, he didn't.
Yeah, no. But it looks, I mean, when that guy goes in the water, you are, oh, did you actually not just kill that guy, but did he kill that stunt man? Did that guy die?
Oh my God, that's incredible.
We've been trying to keep track of his kill count.
Oh, yeah?
And when we were all watching this scene, I'm like, okay, is that an addition to the kill count? And my idea was no. And I'm glad that the math kind of backed that up. But even so, the math just makes it seem like they're moving a lot slower than it's portrayed on film.
Yeah, yeah. That's weird.
You know?
That's going to come up later. There's a famous scene where that's going to happen later in the movie too.
Oh. Teaser.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I like that though. I didn't think about that with the boats.
And then as they were actually going between the ships and arguing back and forth about going around versus going between, it's a classic example of why when you give someone a direction, you never have the last thing you say be what you don't want to happen, because then you're in a situation like you're sitting at the barber and you're like, okay, don't shave my head bald. And then by the time they've got the clippers done with half your head, it's too late.
Right.
You know, the last thing they hear is shave me bald. And then it's like, then you're the guy who just is bald and you have to grow a beard.
Well,
I've got one quick follow-up
Okay.
Yeah.
about the tugboat.
Okay.
I reached out to my dad, who is a submariner, about poking fun at the tugboat guys. And he said they absolutely never poke fun at the tugboat guys because they're the ones that get the submariners home.
I would think so, yeah. I would think they'd be treated with respect
Yes,
for
absolutely.
being the guys who keep things running and keep things safe and orderly.
Yep.
So shame on you all.
When you've been on a submarine for 6 months, the guy who gets you home is the best guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe he knows, like the tug operator knows these guys are messing up the harbor, so maybe he's trying to smash those boats. Like he's trying to smash them, and he heard the in between them, and he's like, okay,
He's trying to keep order.
Yeah.
yeah.
maybe that guy's he's in the Knights of the Cruciform as well.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like a different chapter.
Maybe he's just, we don't even know. Yeah. Maybe that's the day job.
Speaking of boats moving stuff around, I watched this boat explode, and it seemed rather odd to me. And I'm just wondering what you guys think those boats are carrying to make it explode like that.
Oh, wow. They're carrying movie magic.
Because I've got a theory.
Yahweh Rumpus.
Oh,
I'm guessing that these speedboats that they picked up, while they may seem innocent and just sitting there on the side of the canal, pretty as you please, what's probably actually in those boats are big old loads of nitroglycerin.
Whoa.
And there is a nitroglycerin smuggling operation in Venice that uses those boats. And they didn't realize it. So the
Wow.
boat that Indy and Elsa are in, that's the empty boat because it gets chopped up and shot at and stuff.
Oh,
but
yeah.
the boat that the three guys were in, that one was laden heavy with nitroglycerin. So when it got crushed by the boats, whoo, big explosion.
Wow.
Well, that ties in with the beginning of the movie, or the beginning of old Indy, because on the Portuguese ship with Panama Hat, they were carrying explosives.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a whole like Spanish Civil War. We posited a whole Spanish Civil War thing going on. So maybe these were destined for the same place. Indy is single-handedly causing the outcome of the Spanish Civil War that we got.
There's a whole other movie happening behind the scenes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or at least an episode of Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Any last thoughts?
Not
No,
me.
Nope.
I'm just glad you had us on. It was great to
Yeah,
come
this
and
was
play
awesome.
in your yard.
Oh, totally.
And if people would like to come and play in your yard, where can people find you guys?
The best place to find us is over on our website, madmaxminute.com, where we have sat down and gone minute by minute through Mad Max from 1979, Mad Max the Road Warrior, and we are more or less in the throes of Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. So you can catch most recent episodes on the website there. We're on iTunes, we're on Google Play, we're on Twitter at Mad Max Minute. We've got a Facebook page, Mad Max Minute and Mad Max Minute Beyond Microphone. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We talk
Yeah.
about
It
gas.
is. I love
things
that
like
show.
Great show and great movies.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely check it out.
And at least two of us have been on it. Mm-hmm. And Professor Christy Porter.
Oh, yeah. She had a blast.
Yeah, 3 of the 4.
Yeah. Yeah, she was a delight.
Oh, she's always a delight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to hear more of Christy Porter and more of us, please check out our website, indianajonesminute.com, and you can find all of our back episodes, and you can find our trading cards and a link to our weekend episodes, and you can even look on the bio page and find out more about Rick and Julia. So check us out there, and then check us all out here again tomorrow for minute 40 of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
Boats? Did I do that last time?
Yeah, come
Yeah,
on.
forget it.
Stale.
Sorry.
It's like Raiders in this movie. You just keep going back to the same old comfort zone.
that was my theme. Oh, that was nice.